Well, good morning, everybody. We're more than halfway done with October in 2024. It's 10:17. It is 5:41 a.m. and it is 64 degrees in downtown Pahrump, Nevada. And it's balmy 70, 75 in here. And we're going to read the comments from yesterday. And one of the stories, positive news stories from yesterday was deafness in music. It's all about the art of signing to enable deaf persons to fully enjoy music. And it's more, you'll see that it's more than just about sign language. It's an art. It's an art form in itself, really. It's pretty amazing. Um, Terry McIntyre says, beautiful story. Thank you so much for sharing. And then M. Campbell says, I love learning about new things, and that was really eye-opening for me to read. I had no idea how much goes into a good sign language interpretation of music. It's not just words. It's not just a beat. I think it can be considered an art form in itself. Couldn't have said it better myself. That was beautifully said. Tom's on the same video. Hey, I started Michigan Beet Harvest yesterday. They were offering a referral fee. I first learned of this from your channel at their booth in Quartzsite last winter. They said they would find you. Thanks, I think. And you've got a Franklin coming your way. Let's see. Michael's Human. Thanks for the info. Each individual person needs to check it out because everyone is different and not all people will use the same plan. Maybe I should give that some context, huh? That was my long form video, Full-Time RV Healthcare, My Choices. Well, I appreciate Michael, you saying each person needs to check it out because everyone is different. And I think that was the point of my carefully worded thumbnail and title is that this is my choice. And you can see when you go to the video that I have some unique circumstances, in particular with medications, and having to do a lot of doctor visits, that you can see why I made the choices that I made. So that's that. And there's going to be more as I meet with my my insurance broker in a couple of weeks and make my final choices. That I get to do that in November, and it doesn't go into effect until February 1st, the first day of February. But I have to make the choices now. I don't have to make the choices now, but the law allows me, what is it? I think 3 months ahead of time, 3 or 4 months ahead of time. On that same video, there's quite a few here. Pepsid was the medication for acid reflux, but I recommend you get from Amazon since it's a lot less expensive that way. Donnie, thank you. I ordered. It's half the price from Walgreens. Gene and Kurt says, I heard long-term use of this Pepsid causes cancer. Sure enough. My mom was a long-term user and she died at 74. Her doctor told me she had liver and pancreatic cancer. Please look at the print on all meds. Lots of other side effects. Most common side effects of new meds is early onset of eye cataracts and glaucoma, especially steroid meds. My mom had that too. Because of the side effects I've read of medications that I've prescribed, I've decided not to take any. I'm healthy and doing just fine. Americans are so used to a quick fix. We can fix almost everything naturally. Best advice ever. Blue Zone diet. Look it up. It cured me naturally. Okay, Gene and Kurt. I'm really sorry to hear about your mom. That's terrible. But I'm going to read you guys something. And this will be not anyone's opinion. This is going to be a factual thing. Just give me a minute. I'm going to read you the side effects of a medication And forgive me if I'm not able to pronounce all the side effects. Often the side effects listed use medical jargon that it's hard to know what it means. The ones that I can't even get my lips around, I might. They always divide it into serious reactions and common reactions. Anaphylaxis, angioedema, bronchospasm, bleeding, GI perforation, GI ulcer, DIC, pancytopenia, thrombocytopenia, aplastic anemia, nephrotoxicity, salicylism, common reactions, dyspepsia, I think that's upset stomach, nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, tinnitus, dizziness, hyperuricemia, bleeding, ecchymosis, constipation, and diarrhea. Sounds pretty awful, doesn't it? Would you like to know what the medication is? I don't know if you can read that. It's aspirin. Okay, so here's my point. That every medication has a minimum of two effects. The desired effect, the thing it's designed to do, and all medications have side effect. Look it up, do research if you don't believe me, but all medications have a desired effect and a side effect. And some medications can do more harm than good. There's no doubt about that. However, medications have probably saved more lives than any other particular intervention by medical science. So I just want those two things. I mean, you really, the only way you can argue with those two things, that all medications have desired effect and side effect, right? And there are certainly more side effects than there are desired effects. There's usually only one or two desired effects in a laundry list of side effects. That's a very tough fact to argue. The other tough fact to argue is medicine has been a lifesaver, a critical lifesaver for millions and millions of human beings. And the only way you can argue with those two facts is to say that the sources, the history books, the scientific journals, the news, everything, it's all fake. So if you have that view, then you're unable to engage in a debate with anyone, because any other view other than yours is invalid. Sure, Jen and Kurt, I don't mean to put you in this category at all. You had a terrible experience that probably scared the wits out of you. And boy, liver and pancreatic cancer, that's brutal stuff. And there's certainly not a pill or a medication out there that can save people from liver and pancreatic cancer in particular in the advanced stages. It's horrible. But anyway, I wanted to point those two things out about medications. And notice I'm not advocating any particular medication. I'm just making the point that the aspirin is about the simplest medication that we all know. And I do this with my patients. If you're new to the channel, I'm a licensed mental health therapist. And there are patients that I have that I refer out to a psychiatrist or their primary care physician to try antidepressants when I feel that the depression is very severe. And I know antidepressants from both professional and personal experiences can be a tremendous benefit. And when people are absolutely terrified of the side effects, I read them what I just read to you to demonstrate that, yeah, every medication, including innocent old aspirin, has side effects that are that can be very scary. Um, do you take a risk when you take a medication? Absolutely, you do. Are there benefits? Most often there are. Um, by the way, antidepressants with severe depression, I found it to be pretty much hit and miss. It's with really severe depression. In my, this is not scientific. It's my gut of what I've seen with clients that I've dealt with over 20 years is about a 50% success rate that I've seen in severe depression with antidepressants. So that's a pretty big risk to take for 50-50 chance of it doing well. I don't think there's for antidepressants. I think the side effects that are known are largely inconveniences that go away, and there's very few of these very serious, severe ones, and usually there's an indication right away that something's wrong. Your doctor will say, stop taking it immediately. Anyway, I've digressed again. Ken Gray has another. Did I get everything here? It was a pretty long chain. Oh, yeah, well, there's a couple more. King for a Day. I've tried all the over-the-counter stuff, and none of it works for very long or at all. My doctor's prescribed a medication called pantoprazole, and it works great. Let's look that one up. I don't know. Not to read. I'm not going to read the side effects. I've just never heard of that medication. Let's see if there's a familiar brand name associated with it. It's not. It's not a. I don't see the brand name. That's a generic, but it's a proton pump inhibitor. It's a little bit different mechanism of action from the Pepsid, and they recommend that proton pump inhibitors not be taken longer than a 14-day stretch. And my doctor said, yeah, you can do that 14 days at a time, but I would rather have you do the Pepsid, which is a different Pepsid is a different mechanism of action that doesn't have quite. It's a histamine H2 blocker. It's a whole different mechanism of action that doesn't have the scarier kind of long-term potential effects that the proton pump inhibitor. And what are other examples of proton pump inhibitors? And again, this is there's a ton of information out there. Let's see. Can we get a list of which drugs are proton pump inhibitors? Prilosec, Nexium, Prevacid are the biggies. Prilosec, Nexium, Prevacid. Are there any others? I'm trying to look for a list. Nexium, Prevacid, Prilosec, Zegerid, and then there's some that are only available by prescription. And I think with these medications, the prescription are just higher strength of the same medication than the over-the-counter version. So this is a complex topic: chronic heartburn and medications and diet, and there are all sorts of things that go into heartburn. GERD is a term that's a medical term. So there's more on this here. Ken Gray says on the deafness in music, wonderful way to interpret music. Slim Pickens is said he started acid reflux in 1994. Doctor was saying surgery. Then he said try all the heartburn meds. 2004, doctor phoned. Found omeprazole 40 milligram capsule worked for me. Let's check. Is Prilosec, that's the brand name for that you may have. And the pharmacology is it is a proton pump inhibitor. That 40 milligram Crassable working for me. I take one capsule twice a day. I'm in good health, age 71, still working as a handyman for my young Filipina. So he's had good luck with proton pump inhibitors. You got to listen to a guy that's 71 and is in good health, doesn't have the acid reflux anymore, and has been taking a proton pump inhibitor for that long. I guess the other thing to realize is that these dangerous side effects that they talk about don't apply to everyone, and especially probably the safest thing to do if you want to try something like this is do what Slim did, and he's taken it under the monitoring of his physician, who can do blood work and detect early signs of these serious side effects happening, and take him, if it's there, if it's happening to him, he can say, okay, we're off that, we're going to try something else. But I think the big danger, and I think what makes the news so much on these proton pump inhibitors, is since they've been cleared for use over the counter, that by definition means there's not necessarily a physician involved in monitoring your reaction to these medications. And Slim Pickens says, oh yes, it's free for life on my healthcare, and I'm not sure what he's talking about. So tell me if you, I can't rewatch the whole video, but I can't think of anything that I said in that video that was free for life, because you got to pay for that Medicare rather. And Tony Labella says, hey, on the comment video says, hey Rob, what are your thoughts on those Tesla robots? I didn't know there is a Tesla robot per se, so I just had to answer, I have no idea what a Tesla robot. If anyone has a link to anything Tesla that is a robot, let me know. I'd be interested in seeing what that's all about. I've seen lots of videos on that company Boston Robotics, and every time they come out with a new iteration of a robot doing backflips and serving tea, and it's just freaking amazing. And the deafness in music video, Lisa Ross says, outstanding, I love this. And it is time. I've got 3 left. I'm going to be a little late for my meeting. Naj says, I'd rather enjoy the driving videos. They're not boring to me because I get to see the mountains and it feels like I'm there riding with you. I live in South Florida. It's very flat here, so I enjoy seeing other places. Very flat here and in quartzsite too, but both places we are surrounded by giant mountains. Judy says, I love sushi, not usually salty unless you use soy sauce. I guess it would depend on what ingredient they use. And yes, we're still in the RV park with electric AC until Saturday, and she's in quartzsite. But on Friday and Saturday, the temps are expected to be in the high 70s, then back to the 80s, lower 90s for a few more weeks. I'm going to just stay here for a few more weeks. My 2001 Winnebago, how I tricked out my RV, Marks R, very nice setup. BH means more storage. That means bunkhouse. And Karen Niceland says, I also like to know what time it is when I get up in the middle of the night. I'm talking about having a clock there that I can see when I wake up. Well, that's it for today. Thanks so much. I appreciate you watching my videos. I appreciate you Thank you. I'm grateful.